Hi! On the Woodpecker today, I'm at the cottage and I make this nice cedar table to put my towel on while I take a shower. I used to use a big 100-pound propane tank for my cottage, but it was becoming to be a bit too heavy. So I switched to a 60-pound one. It's a bit lighter. I was able to buy my propane from the dépanneur, but as you can see, it's impossible now. Yes, the tanks were just beside this building. Now I have to bring my own propane from home and carry it with a wheelbarrow. But with smaller tanks, I have to put them on a small table because the fittings are at the height of a big tank. But this table was just beside my new shower. Now I have nothing to put my stuff on when I take a shower. So I'm going to make another small table. To do so, I filled the pickup with cedar. Those are the leftovers from our deck restoration. I have to make something with this wood aside from firewood. And now that it's at the cottage, I can use it to make my new table. But before even thinking of starting this, I have to assemble the workbench. I'm pretty glad I made it. It's quite useful. The first thing I do is bring all the wood I need. The easiest thing to do would be just to put some big screws like this one. But just one screw costs almost as much as a full tube of glue. So I'll use glue instead. I begin by cutting one square edge on all four legs. Then I trace the mortise's shape on the leg. I use the actual stretcher to mark the length. Then I finish the tracing with a combination square. When all the tracing is done, I can start to chop the mortise. One done. 7 more to go. After a while, they're all done. I need to cut each length to the right length. Then I cut all the stretchers to their length. Next, with a stop block clamp to the miter saw, I cut the shoulders of all the tenons. When I'm done, I remove the unwanted wood. All done. I just need to mark what I still need to remove from each tenon and remove it. Then I make a dry fit, just to see if this will work. Since it's perfect, I can spread glue on the tenons, inside the mortises, and glue 2 sides together. I just need to leave this alone. The next day, it's a little bit chilly, but I still can glue both glue-ups together with the remaining 2 stretchers. And here it is. I just need to wait for the glue to dry. Okay, it's not perfect, but it can be perfect. I don't want anyone to steal it while I'm not there. The next day, the glue is dry, and I can cut the boards for the top. The center board is thinner, but if I check, it's clear that it has a tapered shape. I need to fix this. So I trace a straight line and remove some wood. Now it's time to use the only power tool I have brought, because this wood is way too ugly for my taste. To protect it, I mix my own finish. 1 part of spar varnish, 1 part of linseed oil, and 1 part of mineral spirits. No, it's not glue. After mixing this, I brush the first coat. I begin with the bottom of the legs, with the base upside down. After flipping it around, I finish the job. I also protect all the sides of the tabletop. It's not that bad. When the finish is dry, I apply a second coat. The next day, the finish is dry and I can screw the top to the base. I begin by making sure the first board is centered and I screw it in place. I do the same for the other side. In between those 2 boards, I lay the last 3 and screw them. The last thing to do is put the table in place, just beside the new shower. This looks much better than the old ugly one. At least, it matches with the cedar shower. And finally, I have a place to put my stuff on when I take a shower. I know, this table is nothing special, but it will serve me for a long time. I really love making simple projects at the cottage, and you'll probably see more on the Woodpecker.